Hello viewers. Now normally my videos tend to feature watches that are maybe the underdog, less well known brands, models that maybe people have never seen or heard of before, but today's video will not be on one of those watches. This is all about the very famous Tudor Black Bay, and here it is. It comes in this beautiful piano black wooden box. And as I'm sure you have seen in other videos, this watch is simply stunning. Very, very attractive watch. Now I'm sure most of you have seen a lot of videos and pictures of this particular watch, but it's always good to see another person's view, and I just want to share with you what I think of this wonderful timepiece by Tudor. Now quickly, just want to mention something on the side before we go into the review. I did pick this up used, but it's absolutely mint condition. It's really a nearly new watch. However, the box is great, but the outer box, it's not important, but just an example to show you. Don't get impatient. Whoever owned this before was rather impatient when they opened it with a Stanley knife. And the outer box, when they plunged the knife in the outer box, it went straight through and even onto the card Tudor box, which is a bit of a shame. Ouch. With a watch of this value, I would not have been that reckless, but mistakes happen. There you go, it's not a big deal. So back to the watch itself. So I'll just go over the basic specs of this watch. This is the newer model, which has the in-house movement, which is the Tudor MT5602. Now the previous models had the ETA movement. For me, it's much better to have an in-house movement. It's a big upgrade in my opinion. There are so many watches that share the ETA movement, which is a good movement, but it's not very exclusive. And the new in-house movement has a 70-hour power reserve, which is a real bonus. Now I have seen on the forums a lot of people saying, oh, they prefer the ETA Tudor because it has more character, which I don't really get. People say, oh, I like the curved text at the bottom much more. Well, for me, an in-house movement is much more important than the shape of the text on the dial, and the fact the other one has a depiction of the rose on the dial as opposed to this one which has the shield. These are tiny little design features that are insignificant in my opinion, so why someone would prefer the ETA movement over an in-house movement for those little tiny details is beyond me. But that is my opinion, and everyone is different. But that's how I feel. This is a superior watch in my opinion. The in-house movement is much better, and it's a great upgrade. Now the case size of this watch is 41mm. The lug width is 22mm, and it is a thick watch at 14.8mm, but we'll go into that later. It does have a water resistance of 200 meters as well, and a domed sapphire crystal, which is beautiful. So as I said, the case thickness is pretty thick at 14.8mm. And this is another area where people have criticised the watch for being very tall. But honestly, in my opinion, I don't think it is. I've got many watches that are this type of thickness or even thicker than that. And I was a bit concerned that it might feel really top heavy and clumsy on the wrist, but not at all. Maybe these people that criticise it are used to very slim dress watches. Now obviously this one is on the vintage leather strap, which I really am impressed with. I think it's a perfect style strap for this burgundy red bezel. It really sets it off and works so well with that red and also the gold hands and indices. Now the bracelet version, although very nice looking, in my opinion, I am a bracelet guy, and this has nothing to do with price, I do prefer this on the leather strap. And the clasp is wonderful. It's very, very well done. Just goes in to that buckle there, and then that slides in, just clicks nice and firmly. You got the Tudor inscription on there, the shape of the shield, you see, and open it, you just lift that, and then that piece comes up. Simple. And the swing arms have got the deep engraving of Tudor as well. Very highly polished. And this part here is a ceramic ball type joint which fastens that part of the buckle very securely, and being ceramic, it is extremely hard wearing. Very well done. The case back is your typical plain stainless steel brushed case back, as you see in most Tudor watches and Rolex. I always wondered why they were so plain, and then read something that made a lot of sense, is that the reason they leave them plain is to allow people to inscribe anything personal they want. So that's why they're left very plain. But it is a trademark of Tudor and Rolex. Now, talking of Rolex, and I'm only going to mention it one more time, I don't get it when people say this is a poor man's Rolex. Tudor is a poor man's Rolex. It's an alternative for people that can't afford a Rolex. I don't really see that is the case at all. They're very different watches. Okay, they are related to Rolex, but Rolex don't make a watch that looks just like this. And personally, for me, I don't have an issue with Rolex. They're obviously extremely high quality, prestigious watches, but I prefer this slightly understated style. So I think, you know, you can say Tudor stands on its own. People buy it for what it is: a beautifully designed, perfectly proportioned, very well crafted Swiss watch. Now I just want to show you that beautiful dial in more detail. You can see the markers are all edged in that lovely rose gold, and the hands are rose gold as well. You've got the snowflake, hour hand and a minute hand and a second hand, all rose gold and filled with lume, which is very bright. We'll show that later. And then the wording is done in gilt on the black dial. Very, very crisp, super fine. For me, out of all the watches I've owned and sold over the years, this is the most photogenic watch I've ever come across. I've never really seen a bad photo of this watch. It is just so attractive, so well proportioned. The colours in this particular model I think are perfect, they all go together so well. And there you see the crown with the aluminium collar matching the bezel. Very well done. It's a beautiful crown, a nice decent size. A wonderful design. That really is a truly beautiful dial, very well designed, superb detail, and of course finished to the highest standard. Now I just want to try and demonstrate the bezel action on this watch. It really is the best action I have ever come across on a watch. It's hard to convey this in the video, but the clicks, of which there are 60, it's a 60 click unidirectional bezel, and everything feels so well executed. It is just perfect in every way. There is no play at all, no gritty feeling. It's silky smooth. Every click is on the button. The alignment is perfect. It sounds beautiful and feels just right, and you could only really understand it properly when you have one in your hands, but it is superb. The same with the crown. I love this rose embossed crown. I like a nice big crown, easy to get hold of. I like the way it protrudes a bit due to that collar. Very easy to get hold of. The screw is wonderful, no grittiness at all. Pulls out well. And as you'd expect, the action is very smooth and silky. And of course there is no date on this watch. Most of my watches do have dates on, and I have to say I don't miss it. It's one less thing to think about when you have to set the watch, and it does lend to a very clean, uncluttered dial. I think the domed sapphire is perfect on this watch. Works very well. The fit and finish is superb, as you'd expect. You can see the sides of the case are highly polished. The beveled edge on the lugs is polished, and then the top of the lugs is brushed to perfection. Most of the buckle on the watch is highly polished. You do have a brushed finish on the flat surface there of the shield, but the buckle is really superb. It oozes quality. The leather on this vintage style strap is very good quality. It's super soft and really looks good on the wrist. And there it is on the wrist. Sits perfectly well. 41mm case is the ideal size. Love that buckle. The strap is very comfortable. Just right. So here is a quick lume shot, let you see how that glows, and it is very bright. It lasts a very long time, all through the night. Very good, no complaints with that at all. So that is pretty much it for the Tudor Black Bay. I love this watch. I've looked at it for years and I've always wanted one. Finally got one and I'm not disappointed at all. I always try to think of a negative when I'm reviewing a watch, but cannot always come up with them. The watches I review on this channel are mine. I don't tend to have many negatives when I review a watch because I don't buy watches that I don't like, and usually have researched them for a long time before going for it. So therefore I will not have many negative things to say about any of my watches. And the same goes for this one. It's all positive, all good. Love it. This is not a poor man's Rolex. Just like a Porsche Boxster is not a poor man's 911. Well, actually maybe it is. Why would you want a Boxster instead of a 911? But that doesn't go for this. I don't think this is anything to do with a substitute for a Rolex. It is a stunning watch in its own right. Beautiful. Thank you so much for watching. Catch you next time.